How's it going, guys? Long time. I wanted to get my training week out of the way to show you all my training days rather than doing it sporadically. And we start things off with a new block. So this is week one, starting with day one, safety bar, pause squats. So the aim is still the same, taking my compound lifts through higher repetitions, just managing the load. Looking to kind of build more muscle in the process as well over an extended period of time. But kind of building on the strengths from the last block as well as working on weaknesses. So as you can see here, as I start to get to the latter ranges of my squats, you can see I'm starting to kind of lean forward as I come out of that pause position. And that's what a safety bar kind of works on. Because you don't have that added tension in the upper back, you have to really focus on keeping your core tight as well as using your legs to kind of get you out of that bottom position whilst keeping your shoulders above your hips as best as you can. This becomes a lot harder, obviously, when you're adding a pause into it because you're spending more time with the load. But nonetheless, I managed to kind of persevere and pull through. So this was 125 kilos for the squats. Then we move on to deadlifts. This is still the same session, but now we're deadlifting off the floor, so we're not doing deficits anymore. And I kind of went into this with some fatigue in the lower back. So instead of kind of doing a touch and go, I had a momentary pause at that bottom position. So you can see there, I don't bounce the plates off the floor. I have a slight pause just so I'm reinforcing using my legs at that bottom position and then just driving my hips through at the top position. At the top, sorry, I'm saying positions quite a lot. This was a set of 12 at 140 kilos. Not starting as light as I did in the previous block because a lot of the movements that I was doing were new and I didn't want to overshoot myself because that was the mistake that I made last time going into my competition in Poland earlier this year. So I wanted to make sure that this time round I'm going to push myself where I see fit, but know what I'm capable of doing and still having more in the tank to kind of progress from. So now we move on to day two. Now we're getting into actual bent over rows instead of the penlays. And this was just a variation that my coach just wanted to kind of throw in there to, change up the variation ever so slightly. But as well, again, another movement because I'm now having tension going all the way through my spine. Starting off light again and looking to build up from there. Then what you're about to see here was after, and this was supposed to be my second set of my bench press, but annoyingly, the camera fell. So I was covering for a friend of mine later that day, and I was just like, I didn't manage to get the footage, so whilst I'm in the gym, might as well go again. And here it is. So this was supposed to be my top set, but I did it later on in the day. So this was 100 kilos, reverse grip bench press, this time keeping the feet on the floor to get that leg drive going. And I was supposed to do a set of 12, but I ended up doing a set of 13, to which I am still feeling sore from to this day. And this was almost 4 days ago. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but I just let pride get the best of me. And, sometimes you have to do what you may deem necessary in order to move forward. And yeah, that was just one of those kind of silly decisions that I decided to do, which from time to time, I don't condone it, but if you train long enough, you can get away with these things. Now we move on to day three, and this is a wide stance box squat. I wanted to work more, I say into the hips, even though this will still build a lot of leg strength. Because you're going for a wider stance, you're having to sit more into the hips as you are pushing the knees forward. So you can see my knees are relatively parallel right above my shins, as opposed to going forward towards my toes. So I'm putting more emphasis going through the hips as I'm sitting down and back up. Again, going very light here. This was just a set of 100 kilos. And because I'm squatting twice, I kind of wanted to make sure that I have one day where I'm able to push a lot more weights because I've got my heels and when I say heels, my Olympic weightlifting shoes, not heels to go out, obviously. And I've got my sleeves. Whereas as you saw there, I was lifting raw, naked knees, in flats as well, just so again I could sit more into my hips as opposed to getting more quad stimulus per se. Then we get into the deficit RDLs. So before, as you know, I was doing the snatch grip RDLs, and now I wanted to move away from that. Still trying to get as much range of motion as possible, and also make the movement challenging, because for me, I've got quite a strong posterior chain as it is. So by stepping on a deficit, on a plate there to create a deficit, it just challenged me further. So this was a set of 100 kilos again for 12 reps. And one thing is for sure, guys, never let a powerlifter or a strength coach tell you that you can't take compound movements through high rep ranges. You just have to be very mindful and load. So don't go too heavy, of course, and still try to maintain form all the way through. You can still get great benefits through that, especially when you are a strength athlete or a powerlifter. The level of conditioning you get from working in these high rep ranges, especially if cardio isn't your thing, every so often, you don't want to sprinkle this, but every so often it's definitely advisable. Now this is day 4. What you just seen there previously was the incline bench press. I took that for 12 reps at 80 kilos. Again, staying very reserved, leaving more in the tank. And then with this one was the seated plate loaded shoulder press machine. Again, a slight switch from the barbell, and this is just to add a bit of variation, especially whilst I'm on off season. And this actually felt fine. I definitely felt my shoulders more, as of course, when you're in a machine that's designed to work a particular muscle group, obviously you're going to isolate it a lot more. So I'll be very intrigued to see how this carries over towards my upper body strength. So there you have it, guys. Week 1. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.